What is there to do at the Queen Mary? If you've never visited the ship before, then you might be surprised by the things on this list. But first, be sure to give the video a thumbs up and we'll begin. Here is a list, not in any particular order, of the 10 must-do things at the Queen Mary. Number 1. See the bridge. On Queen Mary, the navigation bridge is the highest deck on the ship, and this is where the ship was steered and where commands for the engines were given. You can even peek over the wall to see the bridge wings, which extend off the sides of the ship in order to give officers a good view down the length of the hull. Another interesting feature is these curvy-looking railings. Actually, it's not just a handrail. The curve in the design is meant to scoop the air rushing past when the ship is at sea and blast the air upwards, acting as a sort of air shield or umbrella for those stormy days and nights on the open ocean. And if you go inside the wheelhouse of the ship, you can see a variety of gadgets, including this old gray wheel, nicknamed the Iron Mike. It was designed to act as a sort of autopilot. It is useful for maintaining a steady course out at sea, which relieved the quartermasters from the otherwise monotonous task of keeping the ship on course. Number 2. Go down to Promenade Deck to check out the main hall. The main hall was designed to be the centralized socialization and activity center for the first class. If there was live entertainment happening, passengers would be directed to the main lounge right next door. Or if a passenger wanted to read books or magazines, they could visit the library. The main hall contained a drawing room for ladies to socialize. There was a writing room for scribing postcards or letters. There was a music room for performers, a cocktail lounge for relaxation, and even the nursery for the first-class children was here in the main hall. Today, the main hall mostly acts as a central shopping area for souvenirs, but it still has that 1940s aesthetic. And proudly watching over the visitors passing through the main hall is the white marble medallion of the ship's namesake, Her Majesty Queen Mary, consort to King George V. The cocktail bar I previously mentioned is called the Observation Bar. It is a grand semicircular room with views of Long Beach and the LA River. Sunsets look amazing from this room. On Tuesdays, the Observation Bar comes alive during a weekly event called Meet Me at the Mary, where a live band plays music of the era when this stately ship was still plowing the waters of the North Atlantic. Number 3. Since you might be visiting the main hall, you can also stop and see the Lego Queen Mary. It is the largest toy ship ever made from Lego bricks, stretching 27 feet long and built to a fine degree of accuracy. The kids will love it. Number 4. Check out the isolation ward. It's kind of an eerie spot within the stern of the ship where passengers suffering from transmittable diseases or infections could be kept isolated from the rest. You might have heard that ships tend to be a place where illnesses spread rapidly among passengers, and so even in the 1930s, the Cunard White Star Company took no chances and built a fully functioning hospital that was kept separate from the rest of the passengers. To get to the isolation ward today, you must descend down the outdoor stairwells to the stern area of A deck, and then go through the hatch doors and descend down to B deck from there. Number 5. If you find yourself up on deck, be sure to take a moment with your family or friends to listen to the blast of the ship's whistles.
Oh my God.
The Queen Mary went in service with 3 steam-powered Typhon whistles made by the company Cockham Sonics. One of those whistles is currently in operation aboard the Queen Mary too, but the others remain aboard the original Queen Mary and are sounded several times per day. The employees of the hotel know the schedule of the whistle soundings, so be sure to check it out. It might make you jump a little. Number 6. Another huge exhibit aboard the ship is the aft engine room. Queen Mary originally had 2 engine rooms, each containing 2 engines made up of 4 steam turbines working in unison to turn a propeller shaft. What remains today is the slightly smaller aft engine room, and you can walk around the various pumps, gears, machines, and steam turbines. This room is one of the biggest marine engine rooms ever built. It's an experience you don't quite get anywhere else. Number 7. When you're done exploring the engine room, there's more to see. The steering gear and propeller rooms are definitely a must-see. The steering gear room is accessible from the same museum lobby that led down to the engine room. You simply go down a set of stairs and head aft, and you'll find yourself walking among the massive machinery that was used to steer the ship. 4 massive hydraulic cylinders measuring almost 3 feet in diameter would push and pull at the rudder to turn the Queen Mary. At the time, it was the largest steering assembly ever installed on a British ship, and in the 1930s, Queen Mary had the largest rudder of any ship at sea, comparable to the tonnage of the Mayflower. Nearby is the propeller room, located in a box that was welded to the outside of the ship's hull. It surrounds the outer portside propeller, holding it in a box of fresh water. The propeller measures 18 feet across and weighs a whopping 32 tons. It's made of manganese bronze and was one of 4 screws that turned up to 3 revolutions per second in order to propel the ship through the water at up to 32 knots. That's almost 38 miles per hour. Imagine a ship the size of the Chrysler Building or the Eiffel Tower rushing through the water at those speeds. Number 8. Every Sunday, the ship comes alive with the popular Sunday brunch event. Live period music plays while visitors, sometimes dressed up in vintage clothing, serve themselves from the fine dining buffet, and all of it is located in the original first-class dining room on our deck. The dining room, by volume, was the largest room aboard any passenger ship in the 1930s. It stands 3 decks high and is decorated in 3 shades of Brazilian peroba wood paneling, and lit with beautiful frosted sconces and medallions with motifs formed into them. This room is a fine example of the ship's Art Deco style and the transition of the 1930s era into the streamlined modern architectural style. Number 9. Take a tour. The ship's current operation places heavy emphasis on tours. Many of the beautiful areas of the ship are behind closed doors, accessible only by a tour. To learn the general history of the ship and what it was like to sail aboard her, both as a passenger and as a soldier in World War II, you can take the Glory Days tour. If you want to learn about the ship's engineering, I recommend the Steam and Steel tour. There's also tours about the huge list of Hollywood celebrities that traveled aboard, and a tour about the ship's Art Deco style. But if you're interested in the paranormal, there is something for you there too. Now, I'm not saying the ship is haunted, but I'm also not saying it isn't. That's up to you to decide, but if I had to choose which of the many haunted experience tours and packages to choose from, I'd probably recommend the Paranormal Ship Walk tour for multiple reasons. 1, it's kind of a lighter tour that tells you ghost stories and isn't as scary for the little ones who might be with you. But even if you don't believe in ghosts, the Paranormal Ship Walk tour tends to take you into many different places aboard the ship that you otherwise wouldn't get to see. So if you love exploring an old ship, this tour might just be the thing you're looking for. There is one tour that I hear rumor is coming back, and that is the Ghosts and Legends tour, which is really more of an attraction that has special effects and a more theatrical style of touring. It's interesting, and once again, you get to roam through parts of the ship you otherwise couldn't. And now for number 10. Again, I must reiterate that this list is not assembled in any particular order, but if you're feeling hungry while you are there, you have 3 eateries to choose from. In the morning, the Promenade Cafe on the starboard side of Promenade Deck serves up delicious breakfast and lunch. Next door at Chelsea's Chowder House, lunch and dinner is the go-to. And both it and the Promenade Cafe have amazing views of downtown Long Beach. You honestly can't beat those views. Then, for a refined dinner, there is Sir Winston's, a steakhouse and upscale eatery. Sir Winston's will be reopening soon, hopefully in time for summer of 2024, but it is located high up on the ship and has views of Long Beach Harbor and the Pacific Ocean. That's it for the 10 must-dos aboard the Queen Mary, but those aren't the only things available to do on the ship. Exploration of the ship is highly recommended. You could try to locate the entrance door to the former synagogue, the first purpose-built synagogue on an ocean liner, or try to find the various original Royal Mail letter boxes on the ship, or even look around for the crew quarters, or the ham radio station. You can check out the original first-class travel bureau, ride in an original first-class lift, or discover the various artworks located around the ship, or even figure out where this movie prop is located. There's so much to do. I know people who have spent all day aboard the Queen Mary and still felt that they hadn't seen everything. After seeing this list, what do you think you'd like to see or do aboard the Queen Mary? Let me know in the comments below. Bon voyage.